The Great Plains, a vast and iconic region of present-day North America, stretches over 1,800 miles from the Rocky Mountains to the Missouri River and from the Rio Grande to the coniferous forests of Canada. Once known as the Great American Desert, this area is now celebrated as the heartland or breadbasket of the world, rich in history and culture. For thousands of years, the Great Plains served as home to nomadic tribes who skillfully pursued buffalo, relying on every part of the animal for sustenance and shelter. The introduction of horses in the early 16th century transformed these tribes' way of life, enhancing their mobility and hunting capabilities. As we delve deeper into the history and significance of the Great Plains, we uncover a tapestry woven from the lives of diverse Native American tribes, their languages, traditions, and profound connection to this remarkable landscape. Join us as we explore the intricate relationship between these indigenous peoples and their environment, highlighting their resilience in the face of change and their ongoing fight for recognition and rights in modern America. The people living in Great Plains from 8000 BCE to 1500 CE were nomadic, moving as many as 100 times a year in pursuit of the buffalo. Its meat provided food, its skin provided clothing, tent covers, bedding, riding gear, and containers. Its sinews became bowstrings and thread, its bones became tool, even its dried dung served as fuel in a treeless environment. Tribes traveled mostly on foot. There were no horses or mules until the arrival of the Europeans. Sioux language, Western U.S., or Siouan-Catawban, Eastern U.S., is a language family of the Native American tribe and other languages in the north. Horses did not arrive in the Great Plains until 1519, when they were introduced by the Spanish explorer Hernán Cortés, when he brought about 16 horses to the region throughout his expeditions. Later, Coronado brought 558 here, and other Spaniards brought more. When horses were first introduced here, they were cared for by Indian servants, although they were not allowed to ride. The American Indians were smart people, however. They were able to learn by watching, so they quickly learned to ride horses and saw how useful this skill would be to their society. Within 180 years, the horse had transformed Indian society, starting with the Apache Indians in the south and gradually working their way north. By 1750, horses were widely in use by all the Indian tribes all the way up into modern-day Canada. Native Americans had horses since the early 17th century and used them in many areas of daily life, especially in the field of battles. They originally obtained them from Spanish settlers or captured them from the wild. The Comanche people were amongst the first tribes to acquire horses and manage them successfully. The most common Native American horse breeds are the Appaloosa, Quarter Horse, Paint Horse, and Spanish Mustang. Native Americans influenced most modern American horse breeds. Native Americans had a strong preference for spotted horses and created many variations of the color pattern. Their extraordinary breeding knowledge is why Native American horse breeds are so intelligent, athletic, and resistant. By 1800, the Native Americans were divided into two groups: nomadic tribes, which included the Blackfoot, Crow, Arapaho, and Cheyenne, pronounced Cheyenne, and Comanche. Also the sedentary tribes. These tribes had settled in the eastern plains. They farmed and lived in hide-covered teepees year-round. The tribes from the eastern half of the plains included the Sioux, pronounced S-U-E, also known as the Lakota, Omaha, Iowa, Kiowa, Kiowa Apache, Assiniboine, Kansas, Missouri, Osage, Plains Cree, and Sarsi. They farmed and lived in permanent villages about half the year and rode west to hunt buffalo only during certain seasons. These diverse tribes spoke so many different languages that when they met together for special social events, they communicated with each other through sign language. This language was also known as hand talk and used in central Canada. The the central and western United States, northern Mexico, and among the various Plains nations. It was also used for storytelling, oratory, various ceremonies, and by deaf people for ordinary daily use. Its use declined after Europeans arrived. In 1885, it was estimated that there were over 110,000 sign-talking Indians, including Blackfoot, Cheyenne, Sioux, Kiowa, and Arapaho. By the 1960s, there remained a very small percentage left. Sign language use has been documented across speakers of at least 37 spoken languages in 12 families, spread across an area of over 1 million square miles. In recent history, it was highly developed among the Crow, Cheyenne, Arapaho, and Kiowa, among others, and has been used by the Crow, Cheyenne, and Arapaho. Signing may have started in the south, perhaps in northern Mexico or Texas, and spread into the Plains in recent times. Plains sign talk spread to the Sauk, Fox, Potawatomi, Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, and Caddo after their removal to Oklahoma. Native American tribe covers parts of present-day Colorado, Kansas, Nebraska, Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Canada, and Alberta. A large part of the area is flat, almost treeless, and very dry. Before Europeans arrived in the Americas, the Great Plains were the grazing area of huge herds of buffalo and the home of native groups. The houses they lived in is known as teepee dwellings, may have been in use as far back as 10,000 years BCE. The word teepee originates from the Lakota language and the word teepee, which is often translated to mean they dwell. Today you may see it spelt as teepee, teepee, or teepee, but each is referring to the same type of structure. The structures were especially important among individuals belonging to the Lakota, Pawnee, Arapaho, Kiowa, and Cheyenne tribes. The outside surfaces are usually made of buffalo hides, and about 28 of them were needed to make a complete teepee. Plains Native Americans planted the Three Sisters beans, squash, and corn as they arrived from the southwest around 900 BCE. Agriculture was most commonly practiced and most fruitful along rivers. Plains inhabitants also harvested plants for medicinal purposes. For example, choke cherries were thought to cure stomach sickness. Women farmed and gathered maize, beans, squash, sunflowers, and tobacco, while men hunted deer, elk, and buffalo, provided defense, and performed rituals. Hunting became a more dominant practice when a drought struck in 1300. By 1883, nearly every single buffalo on the Great Plains had been killed. In 1840, there was an estimated 35 million buffalo on the plains. By 1890, there were less than 1,000. The extermination of the buffalo had a huge impact on the Plains Indians' way of life, as the buffalo played such a pivotal role in their culture. In 1871, a process to turn buffalo skin into leather suitable for U.S. industrial machines was discovered. People rushed to kill as many buffalo as possible to sell their hides. This led to agitations of these Native Americans rather than struggle for new liberties. Native Americans fought to preserve rights that they already possessed. The history of Native American rights is not a progressive march. It's a story of right in this struggle. Tribes tried to negotiate 368 treaties with the federal government, but almost all of them were lost because of conflicts with Americans and the interests of the federal government. Native Americans had to continuously struggle to get recognition of tribal sovereignty, protection of land rights, and survival of indigenous culture. The new United States continued the colonial-era practice of signing treaties with tribes to maintain peace between nations. But the thirst for Native American land proved stronger than government promises. Native Americans called treaties talking leaves that blew away as easily as leaves in the wind. The United States formally ended the policy of treaty-making with tribes in 1871. The treaty with the Delaware, shown here, is the first treaty between the United States and a Native American tribe. It is also the only one signed by the Continental Congress. During the American Revolution, the Continental Congress tried to maintain peaceful relations with Native Americans and encouraged tribes to either fight against the British or remain neutral. The Delaware were one of the few tribes that allied with the Americans. They were also the first Native American tribe to sign a treaty with the new United States. President Andrew Jackson's Native American policy favored their removal to the West. Fiercely debated in Congress, this act launched a new era in federal Indian policy that would eventually remove thousands of Native Americans from their ancestral homelands to Oklahoma. As we conclude our journey through the rich tapestry of the Great Plains, we are reminded of the enduring spirit of the Native American tribes who have called this land home for millennia. From their deep connection to the buffalo, which provided not just sustenance, but a way of life, to their ingenious adaptation of horses that transformed their societies, these cultures exemplify resilience and ingenuity. The history of the Great Plains is not just a story of survival. It is a testament to the strength and perseverance of indigenous peoples in the face of adversity. Despite centuries of challenges, their traditions, languages, and cultural practices continue to thrive today. Let us honor this legacy by acknowledging the importance of preserving indigenous rights and cultures as we move forward. Together we can ensure that the stories and contributions of these remarkable tribes are recognized and celebrated for generations to come. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the Great Plains. If you found this journey enlightening, please like, share, and subscribe for more stories that celebrate our shared history and diverse cultures. Until next time, keep seeking knowledge and understanding.